Something is seriously wrong inside the Atlanta Falcons organization right now, and the cracks are becoming impossible to ignore. Reports are surfacing that Arthur Blank, one of the most hands-on and invested owners in the entire NFL, is not just quietly disappointed, he is furious. And when an owner of Blank's caliber reaches that level of frustration this early in a coaching tenure, the entire league takes notice. This is not a situation born out of a bad preseason game or a minor philosophical disagreement over play calling. This is a deep, structural conflict over the identity, direction, and future of the Atlanta Falcons franchise. At the center of it all is a young quarterback named Michael Penix Jr., a coaching staff that reportedly wants to move past him before he has even had a genuine chance to prove himself, and a pattern of behavior that critics are connecting directly to what happened with Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. The evidence is piling up, the voices are getting louder, and the situation inside Atlanta has officially reached a boiling point. To understand just how significant this moment is, you have to understand what Arthur Blank believed he was building when he brought Kevin Stefanski in as the new head coach. Blank did not hire Stefanski to dismantle the vision already in place. He hired him to elevate it. The Atlanta Falcons had made a bold, deliberate investment in youth, drafting Michael Penix Jr., surrounding him with elite skill position talent, and committing to a long-term development model that would grow together and eventually compete for championships. Blank signed off on that plan. He invested in it publicly and financially. So when reports began emerging that Stefanski was allegedly pushing the front office to explore bringing in another quarterback before Penix had been given anything close to a legitimate opportunity to establish himself, Blank's reaction was not subtle. According to sources close to the franchise, the owner is furious, and the frustration stems directly from the belief that Stefanski may be attempting to redirect the entire vision of the team without organizational consensus. Source: reports from sources close to the Atlanta Falcons franchise. This is where the story becomes bigger than just one quarterback or one coaching staff disagreement. Because Kevin Stefanski did not arrive in Atlanta without history. Before taking the head coaching position with the Falcons, Stefanski spent several seasons with the Cleveland Browns, and quarterback instability became one of the defining features of that entire era. The Browns cycled through quarterback after quarterback without ever truly committing to a long-term answer. From Baker Mayfield to Jacoby Brissett, from Deshaun Watson to Joe Flacco, the roster at the most important position on the field was in a constant state of flux. Critics argued consistently that rather than developing quarterbacks within the system, the approach in Cleveland seemed to reset repeatedly, abandoning plans before giving them enough time to take hold. And the most controversial chapter of that era, the one that is now being directly connected to the situation unfolding in Atlanta, involves Shedeur Sanders. Source: Cleveland Browns quarterback history during Kevin Stefanski's tenure. Shedeur Sanders was viewed by many analysts and fans as a legitimate NFL prospect, a quarterback with accuracy, football intelligence, and the competitive DNA required to succeed at the professional level. Yet the belief among a significant portion of the football community is that Sanders was never truly given a fair opportunity to prove himself within Stefanski's system in Cleveland. He was judged quickly, handled differently, and ultimately moved on from before the evidence was conclusive. That perception, whether one agrees with it or not, did not go away quietly. And one of the loudest voices to challenge the narrative was former NFL MVP Cam Newton, who publicly questioned Stefanski's approach to Sanders, suggesting that Sanders was judged and handled differently than other quarterbacks in comparable circumstances. Cam Newton did not mince words. He referenced Cleveland directly. He questioned whether Atlanta fully examined that history before making the hire. And now, with reports about Penix potentially being sidelined before earning his chance, many fans and analysts feel that Newton's concerns were not just valid, they were prophetic. Source: Cam Newton's public commentary on Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur Sanders. Newton's central argument was about development and belief, the idea that a young quarterback cannot grow without genuine organizational patience and institutional support. He implied that Sanders did not receive the patience that is often extended to quarterbacks in similar developmental stages. And the question now being asked loudly across sports media and social platforms is what is happening with Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta a coincidence, or is it a pattern? That question does not have a clean answer yet, but the fact that it is being asked at all, and being asked seriously, not dismissively, tells you everything about how this situation is being perceived around the league. Pattern recognition in the NFL is a powerful force. When an organization keeps arriving at the same crossroads under the same leadership, the league does not look the other way. Source: sports media coverage connecting Cleveland and Atlanta quarterback situations. What makes the situation in Atlanta especially frustrating from an ownership perspective is that the Falcons are not a franchise in need of a complete overhaul. They are not rebuilding from scratch. They are not a team without talent or direction. The Atlanta Falcons possess one of the youngest and most promising offensive cores in the entire NFL. Alongside Michael Penix Jr. at quarterback, you have wide receiver Drake London, tight end Kyle Pitts, and running back Bijan Robinson, a group that collectively represent speed, explosiveness, versatility, and long-term upside. This is not a supporting cast built for a placeholder quarterback. This is a supporting cast built to win with the right young quarterback at the center of it all, and ownership envisioned exactly that: continuity, chemistry, and an offensive identity that would grow together over several seasons into something genuinely dangerous. Source: Atlanta Falcons roster composition and draft history. The city of Atlanta adds another dimension to this story that cannot be understated. Atlanta is not just a market, it is a culture. The Falcons carry genuine emotional and symbolic weight in that city, and the fan base is deeply invested in what happens with this team. For a newly hired head coach to step into that environment and immediately begin questioning the quarterback plan, the plan that ownership approved, that fans rallied behind, and that the entire offensive infrastructure was designed around, has created tension that extends well beyond executive offices. It has reached the locker room. It has reached the fan base. And it has reached a level where Arthur Blank himself is reportedly involved in expressing his dissatisfaction directly. That is not a small thing. Owners at Blank's level do not typically surface in these conversations unless the situation has genuinely escalated. Source: reports on Arthur Blank's involvement and reaction to the quarterback situation. Arthur Blank is known across the league as an owner who invests deeply in culture, relationships, and long-term vision. He is not an impulsive decision-maker. He does not hire coaches based on short-term results alone. When Blank approved drafting Michael Penix Jr., it was not a casual decision, it was a commitment. A public commitment to a player, to a philosophy, and to a direction. And when Blank approved bringing Stefanski in as head coach, the expectation was clear: elevate the young core already in place, not replace it. So the reports that Stefanski may be pushing to bring in another quarterback before Penix has even had a fair shot represent something deeply personal to an owner who built his entire coaching search around alignment with that vision. Blank now faces one of the most consequential decisions of his ownership tenure. Source: Arthur Blank's ownership philosophy and history with the Atlanta Falcons. The options available to Blank at this crossroads are stark. He can stand firmly behind Michael Penix Jr., mandate a development-first approach, and make it clear to the coaching staff that the quarterback is not up for debate. He can attempt to reconcile the differences between his front office and Stefanski, working to find a middle ground that keeps the coaching staff intact while protecting Penix's opportunity. Or, and this is the scenario that is being whispered about with increasing seriousness, he can reconsider whether this coaching partnership is genuinely aligned with ownership's vision at all. Every one of those paths carries significant consequences. Ownership decisions define franchises for decades. The wrong move here does not just affect the 2025 season, it affects the trajectory of the entire franchise for years to come. And Blank knows that. Source: analysis of Arthur Blank's decision-making options regarding Kevin Stefanski. The broader conversation this controversy is fueling across the NFL is about quarterback development timelines and the institutional patience required to see them through. Young quarterbacks do not arrive ready-made. They require time, scheme stability, consistent repetitions, and, critically, the organizational belief that they are the answer even when the early results are imperfect. The NFL is littered with examples of quarterbacks who struggled in unstable environments, were moved on from too quickly, and then flourished elsewhere once they found a system that believed in them. Atlanta cannot afford to become another cautionary tale in that category. Michael Penix Jr. deserves the opportunity that was promised when this plan was put in place, and if that opportunity is compromised before it truly begins, the consequences for the franchise's credibility, with players, with fans, and within the league, will be significant. Source: NFL Quarterback Development Research and Historical Precedent. 3 possible outcomes are now dominating speculation among analysts and insiders who are following this situation closely. The first is that Michael Penix Jr. is publicly declared the unquestioned starter with the full and vocal backing of both ownership and the coaching staff, a declaration that ends the internal debate and allows the Falcons to move forward with clarity. The second is that competition is introduced at the quarterback position, either through a trade or free agency acquisition, creating internal pressure and division that could fracture the locker room before the season has even begun. The third, and most dramatic, is that the conflict between the front office and the coaching staff continues to escalate to the point where it becomes untenable, forcing Blank to make a decision about Stefanski's future with the organization far sooner than anyone anticipated. Each of these scenarios carries consequences that ripple through every layer of the franchise. Source: NFL Insider Speculation and Analyst Commentary on Atlanta Falcons Situation. What is clear, regardless of how this specific situation resolves, is that the Atlanta Falcons are at a defining crossroads. The intersection of Michael Penix Jr.'s future, Kevin Stefanski's credibility, Arthur Blank's vision, and the unresolved shadow of what happened with Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland has created a moment that the entire football world is watching with genuine attention. Cam Newton asked whether Atlanta fully examined Stefanski's history before making the hire. The league is now asking whether that examination should have gone deeper. The fans in Atlanta are asking whether the quarterback they were promised a real chance is going to get one. And Arthur Blank is asking himself the most important question of all, whether the man he hired to execute his vision actually shares it. The tension is undeniable. The stakes are real. And this story is far from over. If you believe Michael Penix Jr. deserves a genuine, fair opportunity to prove himself as the Atlanta Falcons franchise quarterback, and if you want to stay ahead of every development in this story, including the latest news on Shedeur Sanders, NFL quarterback battles, and everything happening inside Atlanta, then make sure you hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Every update, every report, and every breakdown comes straight to you the moment it breaks. Do not miss what comes next, because in the NFL, things move fast, and this situation is moving faster than most.